Hello one and all, this is Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. This time around, Final Fantasy VII Remake, exclusively for the PlayStation 4. Over 20 years after the original release of Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation, the remake has finally hit the PlayStation 4. Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't the full Final Fantasy VII experience, unfortunately, focusing more on the Midgar section of the game, which was really the first act, the first third of the overall story. But that isn't the only major change. As I explained in the demo when giving my first impressions, my review of the demo a few weeks ago, the Final Fantasy VII Remake also changes up the combat. There is a more action-oriented system with some pauses here and there. You are able to hit the X button on your controller to pull up the command menu. In association with the active time battle bar that fills up as you're landing attacks, you can pull off spells, you can pull off special abilities like Cloud's Braver forward flipping slash ability or Tifa's diving kick ability, and you can also utilize summons as long as you have a full ATB bar. One of the biggest changes is the fact that you cannot control the entire party all at one time. It's not like an old school turn-based system, but you can switch between characters with the tap of the D-pad, and if you're playing with that character, their ATB bar will fill up a lot faster than they would if the computer is controlling the character. So it's really imperative that you switch between characters in mid-battle so the ATB bar can fill up, so you can pull off those spells, so you can pull off those special abilities when you need to. Each character also has a special maneuver that is attached to the triangle button. By hitting the triangle button, you can switch Cloud from its normal stance to the punishment stance, which if you're guarding and an opponent attacks you physically, Cloud will pull off a automatic counter attack that can leave them open for a brutal series of attacks. And that is one of the things that really makes the overall game interesting, is the fact that certain enemies are susceptible to not only physical attacks, not only magic spells, specifically elemental spells, but also certain enemies like the shock troopers will only be able to be attacked from a counter perspective. So far, I feel that the combat system is the best version of the action-oriented combat system we've seen beyond a Kingdom Hearts game from Square Enix. And it's even more complemented by the fact that there is a upgrade system, both when it comes to materia and when it comes to the weapons themselves. The materia uses the same type of system that was used in the original Final Fantasy VII. As long as you have it equipped, it will gain experience points from successful battles, and the more it increases, the more benefits you will get from that materia. When it comes to the weapons upgrades, it's very similar to Final Fantasy XIII, but better. As you utilize weapons, they have special points that are attached to them. You can utilize these special points to purchase upgrades that will not only make the weapon more powerful, but will also increase the overall health of the character as long as they have that weapon equipped, or even add an extra materia slot if you've upgraded it far enough. Each weapon also has a special ability, like one of the earlier swords that Cloud gets has the triple slash attached to it that you can't get with any other sword. The AI is solid, it hits hard. They are pretty intuitive, but not the most difficult. The Sentinel Scorpion, or the Guard Scorpion, or the Red Scorpion as he was known in the original Final Fantasy VII, was nothing short of a tutorial boss in the original iteration, whereas in this game, he is actually a very difficult enemy very early in the game. From a story perspective, as I noted, this is a retelling or a reimagining of the original Final Fantasy VII story, but it is focusing only on one section of the game thus far, of the overall narrative that was experienced back in 1997. And to expand upon that, they've added side quests and they've added even more characterization to certain characters that didn't really get that much of a spotlight in the original iteration, such as Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge. The side quests are just mostly fetch quests. They're nothing that interesting. Those certain side quests do offer discounts when it comes to items in stores, and also one specific character provides specially made materia that you cannot get anywhere else in the game. So the benefits are there for finishing the side quests, but the side quests themselves are not that interesting. From a presentation standpoint, the game looks and sounds phenomenal. Some of the writing is definitely Final Fantasy VII-esque. It's not the most profound, it's not the most brilliant, but it's also very Final Fantasy VII-esque. You do not feel like they have taken advantage of the characters and try to change them into something that they weren't in the original game. Though Cloud is a little bit more broody and moody in this one compared to the original Final Fantasy VII. The soundtrack, which has been redone, is absolutely masterful. It is a pleasure to listen to the soundtrack. If I had to say there is something of a flaw when it comes to this game, it is the story, it is the pacing. Not that it's bad, but it doesn't feel like much of what they've added thus far feels necessary. It doesn't feel like it's adding that much to the overall lore. From a gameplay perspective, the only thing I really don't care for is the way they use summons. In this game, even if you have the summon materia equipped, the game decides when you can use summons. And usually those are only during big battles. Now, I do enjoy the way summons are actually presented on the battlefield, as they kind of do their own thing. And if you utilize the command menu to spin 1 or 2 of the available ATB bars, you can pull off a special maneuver. The fact is that you cannot just summon a summon whenever you feel like it during a fight. The game itself decides what battles are summon worthy, which I think isn't very good at all. For me, having enough MP magic points to summon a summon and utilize that summon for a short period of time would have worked just as well, if not better, than the system that they have in place now. Overall, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a fantastic offering. It is a game that I've wanted for so long. There are some flaws, and one of the main things is the fact that this isn't the full Final Fantasy VII experience, and we don't know exactly when we're going to get that experience, but the experience that we have gotten is absolutely phenomenal from a combat perspective, from a presentation perspective. For fans of the Final Fantasy VII franchise who are open-minded, who are open for a different combat system, who are open for a different type of Final Fantasy VII story, I think you will walk away really happy and joyous. So there you have it. This has been Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. Final Fantasy VII Remake for the PlayStation 4. Now, if you don't mind, I have to go help a little girl find some cats, and after I do that, I'm gonna help a guy clean the area of some rats, and then after that I'll probably go knock back a few drinks, all the while having flashbacks of a horrific time in my life. I will have no choice but to say, oh lordy.